#1 in teenagers using marijuana. That and other facts that make the picture of pot in our state a bit more hazy. Students get blunt with the mayor about homelessness in Denver. Updates on getting home for the holidays, whether by plane, not that one, train, not that one, or automobile. Oof. On the high seas, a reporter from Colorado is on a mission, rescuing refugees and proving that Coloradans do care what happens on the other side of the world. The most awkward next question yet. And one of your holiday fails reminds us we're halfway through the week till Christmas. We begin with new numbers tonight on marijuana and on how many of Colorado's teenagers are using it. The bong is either half empty or half full, depending on how you look at a new federal report, and our Brandon Ritteman leafed through it.
So here's the story the pro-marijuana folks want us to tell you. The number of teens who said they used pot in the past month dropped in this latest report. It's 11.1%, down from a little more than 12.5%. And that's true, but the number is still slightly higher than it was in 2012, the year Colorado voted to legalize pot. And here's the part marijuana advocates are less interested in promoting. Colorado's stat ranks #1 in the nation, the very highest level of teen pot use, well above the national average of 7.2%. We were also #1 the year before. But it's not a drastic shift either. We ranked #4 back in 2012, and Colorado's frankly had a bit of a teen pot problem for a while now. Go back a decade before legalization, and we ranked 9 in 2002 with just under 10%. The pro-pot folks aren't wrong. The numbers haven't gotten way worse since legalization, but they haven't gotten better either. For Next, I'm Brandon Ritteman.
Colorado also has the highest rate of young adults using cannabis. Almost a third of 18 to 25-year-olds said that they had used marijuana in the last month. But what about alcohol, you say? Good question. The rate of teen alcohol use was basically the same as the rate of teen marijuana use, 1 point higher. But for young adults, booze by a landslide, twice as much use. 2/3 said they'd had a drink in the last month. Oh, he of little faith, Colorado's last lonely, faithless elector. His criminal case is now in the hands of the state attorney general. Michael Baca's case was referred there today. He kept his promise made here on Next that he would cast his electoral vote against the will of Colorado's popular vote. Anything to stop Donald Trump. Well, he may have committed a crime under state law in the process. Republican Attorney General Cynthia Kaufman will be the one to decide whether he's prosecuted. We will keep you updated if Baca ends up back in court. Representative Jared Polis might just achieve another first in Congress. Already the first congressman to be openly gay when elected, he might also become the first Jewish congressman to register as a Muslim. The Democrat from Boulder told Islamic leaders in his district that if the Trump administration creates a Muslim registry for immigrants, as Trump suggested during his campaign, well, then he, Jared Polis, would register as a Muslim as an act of civil disobedience. If your office looked anything like ours today, people have checked out for the holidays, just empty desks as far as the eye can see. People have places to go, which means that the folks who work in the business of getting you there really have their work cut out for them.
Great day for the A-line to be on its best behavior. Gold star for RTD's train to the plane, which is working as far as we know. Caution, A-line status updates are subject to change should conditions warrant during this edition of Next. Frontier is no longer replacing all of its tail animals with sloths. It's reuniting bags with passengers, and the airport website shows most Frontier flights getting off on time. Caution, Frontier status updates are subject to change should the airline need a fourth full day to deal with the effects of the weekend snow. And CDOT's reporting clear going on the roads until the weather changes. Caution, I am not a meteorologist. Danielle Grant is. She'll have the full forecast shortly. The saga of the saddest sledding slope at Ruby Hill Park ends tonight with its closure. It is just the one particular hill that was flagged by Next viewers as having a potentially dangerous new wooden fence just put in at the bottom. We called it the Decapitator. The city responded to our viewers' concerns by stringing up a plastic fence so that kids can slam into that instead. But today the city told us it will add fencing up at the top of the hill and put up some no sledding signs to direct folks to the other hills in the park that offer less of a risk of decapitation. If the Broncos are still looking for options at quarterback, we have a mail carrier they might consider. She has quite the arm. Hey, that's not how you deliver a package.
Viewer in Castle Rock figured that bringing this to our attention might get it to the Postal Service's attention so they can work on this carrier's form and delivery. Especially since, our viewer says, he went out to chat with the mail carrier and she said, stuff gets thrown around a lot worse back at the facility. A local Postal Service spokesman says what we see on that video is clearly unacceptable. It is under investigation, and it does not reflect on the thousands of other dedicated mail carriers who don't fling gifts around like footballs. And we at Next agree. If you're not one who's home during the day, perhaps you miss these men and women working their tails off in the cold this time of year. Postal Service, UPS, FedEx, they're literally running around to make sure that you get what's coming to you this weekend. So give them a wave, a thumbs up, pop your head out on the porch to shake their hand and say thank you for the hard work. If they're close enough for a handshake, it means that they refrained from launching your package from the sidewalk. Dear Mayor Hancock, what are you going to do? That is the forceful question from student artists at Denver's North High School. They wrote that message about homelessness on their art exhibit at the platform downtown. And then the mayor stopped by.
Platform brings artists and residents from all over the world and pairs them with at-risk and marginalized youth to create social change.
We host artist residencies, and when the artist is here for their 5 to 8 week visit, we pair them with a youth group in the community. These kids, when we first met them, were really shy, and then imagine watching a 15-year-old interview somebody who the culture has told them is a scary person. And what came out in the end was this wonderful communication and awareness of what's happening with everyday folks. The students wanted to represent what it was like to have the size of a sidewalk available to you, and then they, with masking tape, created the outline figures and how you as a person could fit into or not fit into the scale of the sidewalk.
We've gotten pretty amazing response, including the mayor came to visit the kids on their last day of their workshop when they were pulling together an exhibition and spoke to the kids about homelessness. And the kids were really excited because our mission is to give voice to youth, and who better than the mayor to listen to what they have to say about it.
To me, that is one of the most rewarding moments, is seeing youth find their voice in a subject that can be difficult, and how art facilitates that.
That story came to us through the lens of our producer, Cody Broadway, who again is standing right over there. He is every single night. Mayor's office told us that the mayor, quote, applauds the student artists for boldly engaging and learning about this critical issue. Their exhibit's free, open to the public through Friday, and you can find details about the studio and its hours in the next section on 9news.com.
Attention nerds and people who just like to know stuff. The science behind danger, avalanches specifically in the high country. Hello sports fans, we look back at the old CSU Stadium and other spots around campus as they've changed over the years. And heads up world, there's a refugee crisis unfolding on the Mediterranean where a reporter from Colorado embedded on a ship for a first-hand view.
I know that it has felt like it already and it has looked like it already, but today officially the first day of the winter season, and wait till you see the storms that are heading our direction. The first one coming in from the southwest and the secondary storm from the northwest. That one arrives potentially just in time for the Christmas holiday. We're going to be watching these storms coming at us, mainly producing heavy snowfall up in the high country. This first storm system moving in overnight, continuing through early Friday morning, packing a good punch up in the high country, and that secondary system will be adding more inches onto that one. Late tonight, still a couple of light little snow flurries coming down across the high country, but we really see this storm in full motion by early tomorrow. Maybe even a couple of isolated showers across folks that live in the southeastern side of town around 2:30, 3 o'clock, maybe out there toward DIA. It won't last long, and we're not anticipating a lot of accumulation around the city. Up in the high country, country, a different story, where we have winter storm warnings in place as well as advisories for the central and southern mountains. Tomorrow will be a cool one in the upper 30s as we head toward the weekend. A nice little warm up, and then by Sunday, we're watching potentially a little bit of light snowfall. Of course, looking at the current avalanche danger for the northern, central, and southern mountains, everyone looking at fairly moderate conditions. Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin headed up to the mountains to explain how avalanches happen.
Happens every year. Avalanche danger, closing areas like Loveland Pass, prompting warnings for skiers, boarders, motorists on I-70, sending crews out blasting to prevent that deadly slide. All it takes is a slight shift, a little disturbance in the snow to bring that unstable snowpack and have it come roaring down. Well, you start off with that wonderful layer of light snow, that powdery snow we all love to play in, and then it freezes. You get a layer of ice on top of that powdery loose snow, the sun crust, and then we warm again. The weather fluctuates and you get the formation of crystals on top of those two layers. Well, the crystals create an unstable layer of snow right there. Depth core crystals can cause the snow to move. Water vapor, another warm day. We start to see that moisture increasing and another layer of ice. And then the ground. When the temperature changes, we see these major fluctuations. It doesn't take much to get all of that snow to come roaring down the mountain. If you're a skier, a snowmobiler, if you're boarding, you can trigger an avalanche. Even a falling tree can trigger an avalanche. The snow comes roaring down. It can move as fast as 55 miles per hour, taking with it trees, rocks, and you if you're not careful. And you might think, we don't have to worry too much about avalanche danger in Colorado this year. Doesn't seem like we've had a lot of snow or we've covered it much on the news. But guess what? Winter is here. Snowpack numbers are increasing. La Nina has turned the snow machine on in the Colorado high country, and the avalanche danger is very real. We've had some near misses in the northern mountains already, and we expect an active avalanche season here in Colorado. So here we are. Winter is here. Mother Nature wants us to listen and pay attention.
There's one change on the CSU campus that's getting all the attention this year and next. The switch over from Hughes to the new on-campus football stadium. But Hughes is just one old part of an even older campus, nearly 150 years old. Our partners at the Coloradoan are comparing then and now. Student Union, 1941, then today. It's the Global Environmental Sustainability School. Try explaining that to a student 70 years ago. Global Environmental Sustainability. And then there is Ammons Hall. It had a pool back in 1922. Today the pool is gone, but you see the benches remain. Wonder how many know that. In Hughes Stadium, as seen in the mid-70s, and then today, after the Rams have played their last home game there. Hey, by the way, good luck tomorrow night, CSU. Rams taking on Idaho in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise. CU has to wait for its bowl game because they're better. It's not a shot. That's simply the truth this year. The Buffs are better, and they'll face Oklahoma State in the Valero Alamo Bowl on Thursday of next week.
Refugees climbed aboard a boat in the Mediterranean and came face to face with Coloradans. A viewer's next question about whether I'm a liberal fascist. And your 12 fails of Christmas continue with a holiday that's either half empty or half full. Next.
Refugees adrift on the Mediterranean off the coast of Libya are being rescued by a group that includes some firefighters from northern Colorado. A reporter from the Coloradoan newspaper went along to document their role in this international crisis. Jason Pohl and I flipped through some of the photos from his trip today. Was it a tough sell to convince your boss to take you off of the public safety beat in Fort Collins and have you cover the refugee crisis?
It wasn't as tough a sell as it could have been. I believe the subject line in my email to her that day was, do we need any local coverage about the crisis on the Mediterranean Sea? And she got back to me right away. She actually walked up to my desk and said, you're going where? You want to go where? What is this about? There wasn't a lot of local reporting or US-based reporting happening in this part of the world. It wasn't as tall of a sell as it could have been.
Did you ever encounter anybody, see anybody who did not want to come with you?
No.
Everybody wanted off.
As far as I saw, every single person that we encountered wanted to get off of their rickety boat. Because what happens a lot of times is these people are coming from so many different countries and they're paying their entire life savings to smugglers, human traffickers, who tell them, I'm going to get you to the European mainland. Those smugglers will point at some lights that are 12 to 20 to 30 or 40 miles off the coast and say, those lights over there, that's Italy, that's the Italian coast.
Really?
And what those lights actually are oil rigs.
Were you ever encountering the smugglers themselves, or were these always people that had been abandoned by that point?
Smugglers don't get on the boats. The smugglers kind of push them off and say good luck, more or less. We had gotten a report about 2 o'clock in the morning, and so this whole wooden boat, 50 feet, maybe capable of holding 50 people, it ended up having 430 people on it. On the top, you certainly see lots of bodies. This is midway through the rescue effort. But down below, people are also stuffed, truly stuffed, in the lower part of this wooden boat. And also down there, there's about 3 to 5 inches of urine. There is garbage. There is vomit. It is truly, truly a horrific scene to see people in. And truly, by the time they've been on these rubber rafts and wooden boats stuffed together for 12 hours in many cases, they're exhausted. Any sort of hope that comes from a rescue ship is welcome.
Do people in Colorado care?
I think so. That's been one of the most interesting things since this project published. So we didn't know locally what the impact would be with our readers. And what I've experienced is an outpouring of curious people wanting to know more and how they can get involved and how they can donate. So I think the answer to your question is yes, people here do care.
That is good to hear. Jason's reporting and photographs are really quite remarkable. I'd recommend that you check them out, and we have a link in the next section on 9news.com.
Our next question comes from faithful viewer Michael Adams, who writes, I suspect that liberal fascist Kyle Clark demands that others donate, but he does not. Why is that, Kyle Clark? Are you too good to donate to charity? Kyle Clark is a liberal fascist who demands that the rest of us donate, while he sits on high and lords over us minions who donate to charities. He is our Grand Master.
Thanks for writing, Michael. That was a chewy question. Giving us a perfect opportunity to thank all of the generous Next viewers who contributed to fight men's cancer during No Shave November. I was happy to match, as promised, the $1,000 raised during that one edition of Next when we threw down the gauntlet, and to match the viewer donations to homeless charities to make good on a viewer's challenge last week as well. And even though you called me a liberal fascist a few times, I'm glad you took the time to write so that we could answer your next question right here. While we rush around town doing last-minute holiday errands, trying to make everything perfect, here's the nightly reminder that it is the thought that counts. Marty Silvanich from Littleton thinks that he got a bargain on his Christmas tree, and we can all tell why. Half off, Marty says. We've seen the artificial trees that are cut in half so you can put them up against a wall, but Marty's got a live one there. And a good laugh for the rest of us. Thoughtful feedback tonight from Steve Evans, who writes from Genoa. Could one factor in the cannabis use survey be that people are more willing to answer questions honestly now that it's legal? I've never heard that discussed. Well, now you have, Steve, and that's a very, very good point. Clarissa tweets to us, I laughed way too hard at your Ruby Hill story. Shame on you, Clarissa. Hasn't anybody ever told you the news is supposed to be all doom and gloom? There will be no laughing. Not this time or next time, which will be Friday. Football's tomorrow night. See you then.